Hi guys, it's Mine, and welcome back to another episode of Hytale News. Today we're discussing whether or not Hytale could have their own system of electricity implemented into the game. This is purely speculation, but we hope you find our thoughts interesting. Electronic implementation in open-world sandbox games have typically resulted in a success. It generates its own community of people who create anything from automatic sliding doors to programming functioning clocks, flying objects, and everything in between. So far, there are three key pieces of evidence that we could use to argue that some kind of electric component will exist in the game. The first one being that we know for a fact lightning is one of the core elements. Lightning is a tremendously powerful source of electricity. If Hytale had the ability to harness it in some form through magic or hardware, that would mean that there's an unending source of electricity to use. Now it's important to realize that when we speculate about electric functions in the game, we are not talking about the complex machinery and jet planes. It's quite clear that the civilization we've seen so far in Hytale are not that technologically advanced or inclined. In saying that though, we have also seen jetpacks in the concept art, as well as repeated in the Noxy interview, which we have a full video on if you'd like to see the highlight reel, and we've seen helipacks in the trailer. So perhaps there is more to this theory. However, jetpacks, in a fictional sense, can be powered by a lot of different things, and maybe they're simply inventions given to us by NPC race without any further breakdown of the mechanics. The next interesting piece of evidence is the fact that levers have been confirmed. Now, as some of you probably already know, levers in Minecraft can act as power switches. But before we get ahead of ourselves, perhaps if a lever is within a 1 block distance of a dynamic block, such as a door, it just powers through analog latch mechanisms. If not though, it means that there can be some potential for a kind of wiring system to make the lever useful. In the block tech post, we saw a player approaching doors that swung open and closed automatically. The purpose of that video is to demonstrate the animation of the doors. However, there were no pressure plates or buttons in sight. If every door were automatic to nearby movement, it would clearly be a problem, as it wouldn't defend bases from approaching mobs, let alone unwanted players. So perhaps this feature is toggled, or is there some kind of player recognition command set up prior? But for the time being, who knows? The strongest piece of evidence that is often overlooked is in the trailer. The trailers have so many clues in it, it's impossible not to revisit them to check out. Now, assuming the computers, LCDs, and control panels were purely for aesthetic, there's actually quite a lot of electronic hardware still. The Make Movies scene features a giant camera, probably not available in most of the game, but also what appears to be a powered rail. At the far end of the rail, we can only see a black block of some description, but perhaps there's a button that had to be pressed in order to take off. And if buttons exist, it would only make sense that the electronic systems exist. Otherwise, that would be truly some wasted potential. The other thing to note is the wires on the floor. Now, at first glance, you might have also dismissed these for being aesthetic props, but if you slow down the video to a quarter speed and pay attention to the scene, you'll see something else. The actor being filmed is running away from explosives. Now, these explosives seem to be small and green, quite reminiscent of the goblin bombs early in the trailer, but even more intriguing is how they're being triggered. Each bomb is somehow being set off in precision timing with no visible triggers in sight other than some ground cable. Now, assuming there's not some type of electricity making this happen, you'd have to imagine that they were grenades or timed bombs placed so precisely that the sequence works on the first take, or every take. But this is usually not the case. There seems to be no reasonable explanation for these bombs going off without some kind of invisible player, hits coming from underneath the set, or wires. Of course, there's a possibility that the trailer wasn't complete in-game footage as well, but we'll have to see. If Hytale does implement electricity, it'd be interesting to learn how it's harvested and created. For instance, what type of materials do I need and how early in the game can I get them? I think it'd be nice if Hytale had some kind of system like Tekkit, where we could mine certain components like copper underground when mining, and find other components like rubber elsewhere. Unlike the ultra convenience of Redstone, where there's just so much of it at diamond levels in Minecraft, and you don't really need to craft anything other than a block of redstone or a wooden button to create a working power source and a system. Maybe electricity is the legacy gifted to us by one of the NPC factions, or maybe it's just some kind of magic. Because, as Noxy mentioned in the interview, there's a battle magic, and then there's a magic for around the home used for, quote-unquote, changing things. On that note, what do you think of Hytale having electricity? Come discuss it with us on our community Discord. which is going to be linked in the description. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hytale News. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this theory, and we'll see you around in the next episode.